Good afternoon, folks. It's Robert Chappell, Executive Editor of Madison365 with your daily update for Thursday, September 9th. Before we begin, I have to let you know about a sponsor that supporting the update today is Forward Theater Company presenting. Oops, I'm going to get rid of this graphic so you can actually see what we're talking about. Presenting Mom, How Did You Meet the Beatles? Opening tonight uh, at the Playhouse at Overture Center running through September 26th. This is a play by the legendary American playwright Adrienne Kennedy and her son, Adam P. Kennedy. It's an autobiographical experience and a personal account of Miss Kennedy, who was hired to write a stage version of John Lennon's new book in 1960s London. It's a story about holding artistic ground in the patriarchal world of show business, once again presented in the Playhouse at Overture Center, September 9th through 26th. Tickets available now, forwardtheater.com. We thank Forward Theater for their support of Madison 365 and your daily update. Okay, let's talk about the news first, and then we'll hit the numbers. Because for the most part today, the numbers are not as bad, a little bit better. But two big pieces of news. First of all, locally in Dane County, the mask mandate has been extended through October 8th. I'm not sure why October 8th. In previous iterations of this last fall, the emergency health orders would always be 1 month. And then toward the end of the month, they would extend it for another month and then make any small changes or whatever. They're extending it. It was set to expire on September 15th. But rather than say that was going to expire and then a new one will start for a month, they're starting a new 1 month order today, which runs through October 8th. So they're basically canceling the first order and starting a new one today. And this new order is basically the same. You have to, if you're over the age of 2, you have to have a mask on indoors, any place in public that you're likely to run into somebody who's not part of your household. However, there's two big exemptions have been thrown in there these are things that the arts community asked for. You can go maskless if you are actively playing a wind instrument and you have a covering on the bell of your wind instrument. If you're at the bell of your trumpet or your clarinet or your saxophone or whatever it is, you have to have that covered. But you can take your mask off so you can play your instrument. Strings and percussion, keep your masks on. Wind instruments only, and only when you're actively playing them. The other group of people who are exempted is if you are performing or giving a speech or leading a religious ceremony of some kind. If you're preaching or speaking or performing in a play, such as, for example, Mom, How Did I Meet the Beatles, presented by Forward Theater Company tonight through September 26th. If you're a performer, you don't have to have your mask on during the performance, but everybody in the audience has to be vaccinated, and you have to keep 6 feet of distance between yourself and the audience. So that's basically kind of a trade-off. Like, okay, well, you take your mask off so you can perform, but then you have to be a little bit extra careful about people being vaccinated and keeping that social distance. So that's the first piece of news locally today. The second big piece of news is these are basically little bits that have been leaked. Not leaked, but sort of like announced anonymously by the Biden administration. The president is set to speak at 4 o'clock. I'm coming to you a little bit early today because there's things in my schedule. But we will have that full report after he speaks. So watch Madison365.org early evening. We should have the report probably from CNN. But the president's going to speak at 4 o'clock Central Time today. And he's going to lay out a 6-prong approach to try to get a handle on this surge. And so far, all I've seen is reporting from, sources with knowledge, which means, high-level press people who are purposely calling reporters and saying, you can report this now. The two big ones I've seen so far are, number one, all federal employees will be required to be vaccinated, and federal contractors. It used to be, when he announced this a month or so ago, that all federal employees had to attest to their vaccination status. So you could just say you're vaccinated, you don't have to prove it. And if you're not vaccinated, you can get tested once a week. Now, it seems like the announcement is going to be, forget that testing thing. You have to be vaccinated, period. And you have to prove that you're vaccinated. You have to show your card or whatever. The second big thing I've seen is that they're going to do that vaccination/testing thing for every employer with more than 100 employees. Every private employer with more than 100 employees must, after this executive order goes into effect, must be vaccinated, or must require vaccinations for their employees, or must require that employees are either vaccinated or submit negative tests once a week. Does that make sense? Let me say that again. I convoluted that a little bit. Every employer with more than 100 employees must require that their employees be vaccinated or be tested once a week. And here's the best part to me, and those employers must offer paid time off to get vaccinated. So basically, and that's going to cover 2/3 of American workers, right? I'm not sure what the enforcement mechanism is going to be. We'll have to wait and see on that, but that's a pretty significant step. It's short of requiring vaccination for all Americans, but it's basically passing the responsibility on to the private sector employers, most of whom are kind of on board with this already, right? Some employers have already started requiring vaccination. So that's a pretty big deal, it seems to me. They're actually going to try to enforce some vaccinations. So let's move on now to some numbers. As I mentioned, we don't have the hospitalization numbers yet. Those should be out in about 10 minutes. So if we're still talking, I will let you know about those. Today, we're reporting 1,734 new cases. That's down from a little over 2,000 yesterday. Our new confirmed cases 7-day average continues to fall, which is pretty good news. 1,496 today. That was over 1,700 last week. And it's been kind of steadily dropping. So that's decent news. Even better news, the percentage of positive tests was 8.4 yesterday, and now it's 7.9. It dropped a full half a percentage point, that's pretty good news. Not going to say it's great news yet until I see it happen for 3 more days in a row. Okay. But any day that doesn't go up is good. Any day that comes down is even better. So to come down from 8.4 down to 7.9, that's reasonably good news. Now, the bad news today, 32 deaths confirmed yesterday. Now, I'll say it again. These are not deaths that happened yesterday. There were not 32 deaths yesterday. Not sure how many there were yesterday yet, because these take weeks to report. But our death toll went up by 32 yesterday. It is now 7,717. That puts our 7-day average of deaths reported at 11. That's the first time that's been double digits in a long, long time. So there's this lag, right? Where cases go up, and then 4 weeks later, deaths go up. And now, even if cases are coming down, it's going to take a few weeks for the deaths to start coming down, if they do. Now, again, this downward trend of cases is only a few days. And it's also coming out of a holiday weekend when there's not much testing. Now, the lower positive test rate indicates that maybe there was kind of an increase in testing in the past couple of days, which I like to see. So that's it's decent news. It's not great news. We'll give it we'll give it a few days and see. We're going to take a short pause. Let's see what time it is. 5 more minutes. We'll wait for the hospital data. But in the meantime, we'll talk about some other news that we have for you today. We will dispense with the pause. We'll dispense with the ad for today because we don't have an ad sold, so we don't need to do another donation video. It is on the site this morning, some fantastic bird pictures from a guy named Jeff Galligan, who is the co-founder of the BIPOC Birding Club. We've done a couple of stories on these. And on these organizations that are trying to get people more online or more outdoors, right? And there's a new organization here in Madison called the BIPOC Birding Club that gets folks out. It was just founded like last June, like a couple months ago. And they've already gotten some events. They've got a partnership with the Audubon Society and some other organizations. The stories on Madison365.org today. It was co-founded by Jeff Galligan and Dexter Patterson. Naomi Wolf talked to them about their organization and about what they're trying to accomplish. Kathy, and for everybody, if you want to be notified when we're coming online, you can do that in your Facebook settings. And I can't remember right off the top of my head how to do it, or I would show you. But you can do it if you just Google Facebook Live notifications. You can do it in your Facebook settings to be notified whenever our page is live. Just so you know. All right, thank you. Okay, other news today. The Nehemiah Center for Urban Leadership Development is hosting its annual reentry conference, September 16th, 17th. It's going to be a virtual conference. This is a thing they do every year where they talk about issues surrounding incarceration and reentry, right? Nehemiah provides a lot of reentry services, helping people reintegrate into the community after a period of incarceration. And the conference just kind of digs into those issues, and there's more issues to it than you'd ever know if you've never been involved in the system. It's a big, deep, difficult system. There's a lot of implications, and the conference this year is about COVID and the COVID impact on incarceration, which is something we did some coverage of not too long ago. So that it should be a really interesting conference, and I would recommend anybody interested in those issues to take a look at that story at Madison365.org also today. Also today, yesterday, I spoke with Cavalier Johnson. They call him Chevy, as for obvious reasons. He is about to become the mayor of Milwaukee. He's the city council president right now. He was just elected to the city council 5 years ago and has already been elected to city council president. Mayor Tom Barrett has been nominated to become the United States ambassador to Luxembourg, which means he will resign soon, most likely. Or he'll resign when the Senate gets around to confirming him. Who knows what's going to happen? but when that happens in Milwaukee, the city council president becomes acting mayor, and then they have a special election, whenever the next normal election is scheduled. So it could be a couple of months that he's acting mayor. But then there would be a special election to then determine who would fill out the rest of the term to 2024. And then there'd be a regular election in 2024. Cavalier Johnson has announced that he will run in the special election. There's a whole bunch of other candidates who might also jump in. Nobody's officially announced, but State Senator Lena Taylor ran for mayor in 2020 against Tom Barrett. Certainly is one that may jump in. Sheriff Ernell Lucas in Milwaukee could jump in. There's a couple of other alders who've been talked about. So anyway, I talked with Mr. Johnson, talked about his priorities, his background, what he hopes to accomplish, even if he only has a few months as mayor. Like, what would the priorities be? It was a good conversation. One thing he did mention is he's only 34 years old. So it's not only would he be the first He'll be the second black mayor, acting mayor, and he's hoping to become the first black elected mayor. But also, not only is Milwaukee, the blackest city in this state, ready for a black mayor, he thinks they're ready for a younger mayor, a next generation mayor, a millennial, if you will, mayor. So it's a good conversation. Go look at Madison365.org if you're interested in Milwaukee issues, and in his predictions for the Brewers in the World Series and the Bucks in their championship next year. We talked a little bit about that. Now, I have to hop off here very soon, but I'm going to just check and see. If you noticed, I'm just going to check and see if we have the WHA, Wisconsin Hospital Association data up yet. No, we do not. If you noticed me stumbling a little bit earlier, it's because I was on my little dashboard here. I can see the comments coming in, and I think there were a couple of people on, or a couple of, I don't know if they're people or bots or trolls or what, on YouTube trying to throw misinformation at us in the comments. And I'm not sure how many people, most of you are watching on Facebook live, but a handful of you are watching on YouTube also. And there were some bots or trolls or something on YouTube throwing misinformation comments that I had to like swat them away, and I blocked them. But that's what we deal with, right? That's what we're fighting against, is misinformation. Like, we're giving you actual information, real information, and it's a constant struggle to combat misinformation. Constant. And we need your help to do it. So if you would not want to support our constant battle against misinformation, go to this link that I'm putting in the comments right now and join the FAM, which is our new membership program, our monthly it's our monthly membership program where you can subscribe for $5 a month, $10 a month. You get a couple perks, but we're never going to charge money for the news, right? But to fight this misinformation and disinformation and lies and all that stuff, we need to continue to pay our journalists. We need to continue to work. We need to continue to push the truth out there for you, and we need your help to do it. So if you want to join that effort, go to Madison365.org/thefam. $5 a month. That's all you need to become part of it. All right, that's I'm going to check the hospitalization data one more time before I hop into my 3:30 meeting with my friends up in northeastern Wisconsin. Okay, we're going to end on some bad news. The hospitalized population in Wisconsin has risen to 1,071. That's 32 more than yesterday. That's 95 more than a week ago. So it's still almost slightly less than 10% increase over a week. 317 of those are in ICU. So still about 1/3 of the hospitalized patients are in ICU. We are hearing that many hospitals in central Wisconsin and Fox Valley are running awfully low on space. Statewide, in the entire state of Wisconsin, there are 93 intensive care beds currently available. That's well below 10% of the entire ICU capability of the state is currently available. Not great, guys. Not great at all. So, but we need to keep reporting on that. We need to keep people aware and informed, and we need to keep the trolls. And I'm having a hard time now seeing. I see that there are new comments that I cannot see for some reason. I do not know why. It's not letting me scroll down to see the new comments. So if you ask a question and I'm not answering it, I apologize because I cannot see those comments for some reason. So I'm sorry about that. If there are questions in the comments, I will answer them with comments after I'm done here. Okay. All right. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Sorry for the trolls and the bots trying to lead us astray. Have a wonderful evening, afternoon, wherever you're up to. Take care of yourself. Be safe. Take care of each other. And we will see you again tomorrow.
This is 365 Media.